There are so many ways that we can use our intuition. Someone that I know is really into sports betting right now. And I'm not interested in making commentary on whether that is an appropriate thing to be doing or not. Because even if it is or it isn't, that's probably related more to our social conditioning than anything else. Obviously, I don't want somebody I love and care for to become a gambler or an addict, but we can become addicted to pretty much anything, just like how we're all addicted to our phones at certain moments during the day, here and there, and they take us out of where we're at. But this person in my life who's very interested in using numerology in that context of sports betting did really well out of the gate, and then things started to go south a little bit. And what interests me is all the different ways that we can insert our intuition into the way we travel through the world and allow that to speak to us. So I'm doing my own experiment right now on surrendering to divine will, to try and really understand how that works on a technical level. And so I'm going to report back to you on that. But as far as it goes with sports betting, being really good out of the gate and then having things kind of fall apart, to me, the message is, I think the message always is, how can you come back to yourself and feel your way through this experience and trust and rely on what is coming through? So I made the suggestion to not rely entirely on the numerology, and especially because in this sense they're getting picks from somebody else who's using numerology, but to work on figuring out intuitively who's going to make the home runs, how many they're going to make, which team is going to win, which is actually the smaller part of it. It's more around the players than around picking teams. And so you can get a sense and a feel of the players when you go to that certain place. I'm going to show you what I taught them how to do. It's very, very simple. But basically, we're going to track what were the picks based on numerology, and what were the picks, or how were the feelings around that choice using intuition. So what we did, and we did it together, and we got the same reactions or responses within our bodies. It's basically to, well, actually, if you just touch really gently, like really, really lightly in this area, and you could also do it in this area, or you can do it in both areas, but if you just touch those areas super, super lightly so that you can just feel the touch, that takes you into your body where your intuition essentially lives. And so then when you bring the idea of that person, or you look at the picture and you are in that space, like you do that, and you feel your way into it, what you will feel, if it's a yes, let's say we say, is so-and-so gonna get a home run? You gotta be specific. Get a home run in today's game. So you bring the feeling of that person. You don't even bring the feeling of that person. You just ask the question, is so-and-so, looking at a picture is helpful, is so-and-so going to get a home run in this game? And then, if it's a yes, you feel an expansion and an opening in your heart or in your body somewhere. And if it's a no, you feel a squeezing or a shutting down or compressing or resistance, something the opposite of open and expansive. So we did it together and we got the same feelings. And so now we're doing an experiment to see how well it matches up with what actually happens. And I'm sharing this with you because it's something you could do with anything. And one of the most important things about using your intuition is having an opportunity to corroborate out in the world whether your intuition is matching up with anything. And I had the great benefit of doing that in the work that I did with animals, because I would intuitively receive information about them and also the remedy they need. And I would get feedback from my clients, or I would see that it was helping the animal. Or there would be little things that came through that had no meaning to me, and I would mention them. And then they would relate to something that I knew nothing about. So corroboration is what helps us to build our confidence so that we can operate from this space more and more often. And so that is really my goal is to help people want to come into that space, want to connect with their intuition, and if it has to relate to sports betting, so be it. Because once we learn to navigate in that space more often, we're going to discover that there's far more available to us there than we realize. And I'm going to talk more about that in the near future. But I hope this is helpful. And I hope that you have a way that you can practice to also corroborate your intuition and let yourself experience inside your body whether your response is expansive, welcoming that information, which would be an affirmative, or whether it's resisting and pushing away that information. Now, there's other kinds of intuition, because beyond that, we can ask for information and receive that information, but without learning how to corroborate our intuition, it's hard to trust those things that go beyond a sort of affirmative or non-affirmative, whatever you want to say about that. Anyway, these are my helpful tips for the day. We're talking about intuition, and more to come. Thank you for listening. And if you have anything to say about this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. That's it.